What's up, guys? Today we're going to be building the F1 Watch V2. This is going to be a better case, better bracelet, some extra goodies on the back, and the proper dial that matches Sonny's watch from the F1 movie. If you're a big fan of IWC or you just like watches, come along, let's build. You guys like that F1 build quite a lot. So did I. It was probably my most worn watch. I'll show you a picture of what the case looks like right now. So some of the things that the first F1 watch didn't do so good at was the back. I really didn't like that sanded back, and neither did a lot of you guys. You let me know in the comments. This one, double glass front and back. So we're gonna be able to see the movement, which I really like. I have a weighted colored gold rotor. That's gonna be super cool, as well as the proper dial. I didn't like the original watch had a smooth sunburst dial, where this one has like the waffle cone gridded pattern with actual rose gold indices. Before, AliExpress never really had any of the parts that I wanted. They were dials in green with rose gold. They didn't have this waffle cone with rose gold. Well, they must have watched my video because now they have it. I also wanted to show you guys that you can put a Seiko sticker on a dial. It's not that hard, but it's really, really, really a good way to save a bunch of money. If you don't want to buy the S dial, you can buy dials much cheaper and then get big packs of the Seiko stickers. So yeah, oh, and then the other thing is it comes with a new bracelet. This bracelet has the circular pattern that I really like as the middle hinge piece. And so I was stoked. This was actually the first part that got me moving on to the V2 video. I saw the case that came with the bracelet and I was like, oh, I didn't know that they made that bracelet, but this case, put them together, you're gonna make a way cooler watch. It is a little bit stiffer, so I'm gonna do some mods to it later in the video, and hopefully that softens it up a little bit. We'll take a Dremel and hit the edges, because the Royal Oak, or the Patek Philippe Nautilus that I build, it has the same bracelet, and it's like super sharp, very uncomfortable. And that was one thing I really liked about the F1 watch I built before. It was so comfortable. It was just effortless on the wrist, and it looked good in every occasion. So today, I have you set up with the GoPro. It's gonna be a little bit different. Hopefully it's a good image. I don't know if this light's gonna work, but yeah, let's get started. Let's not waste your time, and let's get the blood flowing. All right, let's get to the table. Rotor, dial, case, stickers, movement, and the bracelet. And let's see, we got some tools that we're gonna use too. This is basically everything you need for an entire Seiko build. If you have this in your toolkit, you won't need anything else, honestly. Loctite, some pliers, a little air scooper. Dust does get on the dial, so wanna make sure we can clean it off. Let's start with looking at the Seiko sticker. This is the part that I was telling you guys about. It's super helpful. It's just a little sticker you put on, order the right color with the dial. Sometimes you can't find the dial with the S logo, and you just stick it right on. But first I wanna pop this guy on. We're gonna take the rotor off the back. It's just like a flat tip screwdriver, so if you can unscrew a bolt, then you're definitely gonna be able to do this. I use my brass tweezers. These are the best. Definitely recommend getting a pair of these for any type of watch work. It's so helpful. They don't scratch anything because they're brass. And then we'll take the rotor. Let's see. I'm making it look so delicate, but it's not really. This part is really not that hard. You just screw it down. I go to about 80% of the screw down and then spin it around to make sure all the gears are locked in. Let's see. Yeah, like 1, 2, 3, 4 screws. And then let's see, I think I move it around. Yeah, let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6. Move it around, make sure it's all good. And then I go the rest. Next up, we have the dial. Now that it's on the movement, I'm gonna be able to put this Seiko sticker on a little bit better. This is a very crucial part because if you don't put it on right, you're gonna be staring at a crooked Seiko on your dial. Definitely kinda prefer when the companies do it in China, but how many times I tried? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hold it in the air. Nope. 8. All right. Finally, I stuck it down. And it doesn't stick down too hard on your first try. It can actually come back up, but don't mess up on that part.
See it on the dial. Looks good. Super happy that they have these generic colors that you don't have to worry about matching. You have rose gold, black, silver, and gold. They call it yellow gold. But between those four colors, you're not going to go wrong. Everybody that manufactures them are going to have the same colors. Next up for the hour hands. Let's see. For most people, this is the hardest part of the watch, making these go down and not interfere with anything else. But as you're going to see later on in this video, this was one of the most challenging watches I've ever had to build, just because I think there was some parts missing. But for now, we're going to push down the hour hand. Push down pretty firmly. Make sure that the watch clicks over on the hour, clicks over on the date, and then you put the hour straight up. So that way at midnight, it ticks over and not at like 3 p.m. or 5 a.m. Looks good. Always give it a spin before you put the next one on. Go slow when you get to the Seiko sticker right there, so that way you don't like catch on the Seiko sticker and stick it and move it off. I definitely did that before. I'm trying to tell you something with my fingers, but I think it was just make sure that the hands are parallel. Going for the second hand. This watch was going too smoothly. Look at that. Easy. I was so excited. We're going to pull the stem out. We're going to drop it in. Let's put the case on, and we're going to be done in like 10 minutes. I was very wrong. So I put the dial on, put the case on top of the dial, and I flip it over, and there's a whole bunch of play. I'm thinking, what is going on? Is there supposed to be some sort of spacer? Look at that. A whole, like almost 1.5 millimeters, almost 2 millimeters of play back and forth. So I'm thinking, maybe the back has like a spacer built in. And on a lot of these watches, the case won't fit that snug. However, once you screw the back down, there's like an inner extruded ring that locks in the movement. And I was thinking, maybe that was the case. Nope, there's a gap between the dial and the front of the case. It just looks terrible. And as you can see when I unscrew it right here, it starts spinning the dial. Look at that. So super loose. Something is missing, honestly. I did not get a spacer with this case when I ordered it. So sometimes I do. And with a lot of watches that you build, if they're already like built and you can just take them apart and mod them, they come with the spacer. I'm just blown away at this point that they didn't come with anything. So I found a watch that had a 33 millimeter dial, and I was thinking, ooh, there's a spacer inside. I'll use this one. Perfect, because I'm not using that. It's just sitting in my bench. This is going to be perfect, right? So I put the watch movement on the spacer and try and fit it. Let's see. And at this point, I'm realizing it doesn't fit. It's still too wide. There needs to be a smaller spacer that fits. So I try and flip it around. Nope, it sticks up too much. Still wiggles. Fantastic. So I'm going to have to get creative. We're going to do... Nope. See, even the old Submariner spacer, not even close. So I just think, all right, well, I guess we're going to have to design our own. So I figure out exactly how much, 28.9 or something like that. And then like 32. I think I give you the dimensions right here and what I end up doing. And then the height of the case. Let's see. Yeah, 2.8 by 29 by 32.
Printer time.
This thing has saved my ass. And especially on this project. It looks like I just printed the perfect one, but actually it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the sixth one, it was like destroyed. So this is the 7th iteration. It took me 7 tries to get the exact fit. I'm just going to be shaving off a little bit because the print was a little bit thicker on the bottom. I did sand it and make sure all these little particles aren't going to be in the watch. And then I hit it with a heat gun, which actually kind of melts it. So, and at this point, I'm knifing out the intersection to make sure that there's room for the stem, because a lot of these spacer rings that are supplied with the watch actually have room for the spacer. I think this was why it worked so well, is because I was able to kind of create this space and allow it to move back and forth. All right, I did a lot of this and just kind of didn't put it in the video of the 6 previous iterations of me trying to fit it and trying to shove it in there. But I figured I'd just give you guys the final one. And let's see, get this section with the stem and line it up, push it in. And I'm telling you, when I say it's snug, I mean it was snug. This had no play in it at all. I had to like move the movement around just to get this piece in. And the fact that it was a little bit tapered towards the top of the 3D print, just because my printer sucks, was actually helpful because it ended up fitting and wedging in perfectly. There was like pops, like a thunk, and it just like clicked in. Heck yes. I'm stoked at this point. And looking at the front, it looks perfect. Looking at the back, there's no play. Look at that. Try and move the movement so that way it lines up. And adjust the little spacer so that way the stem can fit in. And then it's stem time. There we go. Perfect. There was like a little piece of plastic that I wanted to get out. So I made sure. Phew, got it. All right, cool. Stem time. All right, so I kind of pre-cut it to this side because I know that it's just going to be a lot smaller than what it comes with. And then I have a hack. I take this little squishy Rodico and I push it right there. And then you have exactly the right measurement, like a imprint of how much you need to take off. So then you take the stem off, unscrew the crown, and then you know exactly how much to cut. Boop. And then I go for the test fit. Sand it, screw it on. Don't go too tight. Look at that. Perfect. Screws down. Awesome. Pull it out. Unscrew it. A little bit of thread lock. Definitely use thread lock because if you unscrew your crown when you're trying to wind it, it becomes like a jigsaw puzzle to get out. All right. Final assembly. Put the gasket on. Put the back on. Tighten it down. Now at this point, I'm looking to see, is the spacer getting crushed by that extruded part on the back of the case back? And is the dial pushed up against that front inner chapter ring? Everything looks good. It's all tightened down. It's done. So happy at this point. I was not sure if we were even going to get here or if I was going to give up on this project or if I was going to have to try and order some parts on AliExpress. There's nothing worse than trying to buy shit that you have no idea you're looking for. All right, moving on to the bracelet. This is the part where I just kind of did this for comfort. These Chinese straps, and sometimes they have a little bit of a sharper edge than, you know, these refined actual real brand watches. So what I do is I just get a little grinder, hook it into my Dremel, and knock down the inner edge. It makes it so much more comfortable on the daily wear. And another thing I did was that little piece, the square piece at the top. I didn't do it on camera, but I ended up taking that down as well. So that way the bracelet would drop perfectly flat when it comes off the watch. It makes it so that way skinny wrists can have a little bit more play and it just fits better. I mean, it's just really weird when a watch has like a lug width of 54 and then it has male lugs so it sticks out even farther, but it's done.
All right, we're all done. Here it is. It's pretty sweet. Fits my wrist way better than it did before. Reason it took so long to finish because I couldn't get these pins in. They were the wrong size pins. I ended up denting the case and then I had to sand the case back down to make it perfect, but perfect did I make it. Look at that. I was all worried because I'd smashed it with the metal side of the hammer. Don't use the metal side of the hammer. Use the plastic side of the hammer when you're working with watch parts. Yeah, so learned that the hard way. The reason I did that is because, look, see, this is how the watch sits. Look at that. It just doesn't do well You know, like nobody wants a watch that sits like that on your wrist. So I ended up grinding stuff and dropping it to where they sit almost like inverted links. Look at that. Super cool. So now it fits really flush on my wrist. Way more comfortable. Oh, look at that. Freaking perfect. And then we also took down the edges right here. Look at the back. So cool. Honestly, I think I took the F1 watch and I turned it up, made it into 2.0. Huge fan of this. Definitely glad we bought the parts. I decommissioned the last one and turned it into my wife's watch. So the movement in the case is all I have left in 2 separate places. Thanks for coming along. Glad we got to work on this. Next time we're going to be doing some art pieces and a little bit of resin pouring. So stay tuned, subscribe. Later.